Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe here with Killzone Shadowfall, and this is of course the PlayStation 4 exclusive shooter that launched alongside the system. And this is actually a momentous occasion. This is the first time that I have ever uploaded console footage to my channel. And I think the only other footage that I released that wasn't PC was an iPad game overview, and that was some time ago. But we are finally within the next generation. I had mentioned on my Strafing Run episodes that I would indeed be picking up a PlayStation 4. I am was a PlayStation 3 owner. I did get many hours of entertainment out of it. Of course, mostly in regards to exclusive titles. But, you know, it was a fantastic system nonetheless. It was my primary Blu-ray player. You know, it did have its issues. Sony did reach a little too far into the future with their cell processor, which caused a lot of problems for developers. But now things have changed. This system is getting the job done. And that's why I've decided to bring you some console coverage, because we're finally able to deliver full native 1080p resolution and 60 frames per second, which of course you can't see because YouTube only supports 30, but it sure is nice being able to play a game at 60. And there may be a few hiccups here and there, but generally you maintain that frame rate for the duration, and I love it. But right now you're looking at some multiplayer footage I managed to capture earlier in the day. This was supposed to be a 24-man Warzone. However, I think it's just me and one other gentleman versus two other people. But there are some cool shootouts, so I thought I would include it. A little later in the video, you'll see me enter a team deathmatch that is featuring 2 full teams. But, you know, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video, really just discussing the game in general and some of the multiplayer components. Not really going to discuss too much in regards to the single-player campaign, because I haven't played enough of it yet, but most people seem to feel that it's mediocre at best. Now, the biggest issue for me getting into a console shooter is, of course, having to use a control pad with analog sticks to aim. And let's face it, let's look at this logically. The mouse is always going to be a superior aiming tool. That's just the facts. Can you get really good with a controller? Sure, there are some insanely skilled console players out there that are just able to work miracles with the analog sticks, but it's definitely not going to be me. In fact, as you watch this footage, I'm sure you can tell that there are some bonehead plays by myself. But actually, I think all in all, being new to it, I do all right. You know, there's always going to be good and bad games, no matter what you're playing with, whether it's keyboard and mouse. And heck, even as a PC gamer, I'm not fantastic 100% of the time anyway. It's mostly because I play way too many games and never get good at one specifically. So, moving on from that, I think it's time to talk about the visuals. And Killzone is definitely the benchmark for which all future titles will be measured. It is a jaw-droppingly gorgeous game, even compared to a lot of PC titles that I've played lately. Not only the fact that you're dealing with native 1080 and 60 frames, but the fact that you're also seeing extremely high-resolution texture work on pretty much everything. Every surface, every weapon, every character. Very, very sharp textures. Even the most minute of details, like a box in the corner that might have a logo on it, or a flag in the distance. Very, very sharp. And especially when you're looking at the characters in the single player that are very close up to you, that I feel that they intentionally placed up to your face so that they could be like, look what we can do now with this new hardware. Super high resolution and great facial animations. And that's fine to show it off at first. As long as the entire game doesn't turn into one giant tech demo, they should be fine. Need to definitely focus on that gameplay. But moving on from that, talking about some of the multiplayer levels included with the game, there's actually a decent amount. They're all, of course, built around 24-player support. That's okay, you know, that's what the game has always been about. It's not really a large-scale game like Battlefield, so I try very hard to not compare them. It's just that, you know, if you were to take a game that started out as large scale and then you throw small maps in my face, that's where I have a problem. But, you know, being somebody that grew up with titles like Quake and Unreal Tournament, I can deal with close quarter combat. It just has to be, you know, designed for it. And here, again, I feel like the classes and the weapon loadouts work perfectly with the size of the maps. There are some complaints, of course, from snipers because the maps aren't really sniper-friendly. And, well, considering all the things that we've been dealing with in other titles, I can't say that that's going to be one of my complaints. Because more often than not, the scout class or sniper class, whatever you want to call it, in any game is just overplayed and overpowered. Here, it doesn't seem to be a big issue. Again, probably because of the map design, but I also think the fact that the assault and support class are actually very useful makes a big difference. You know, with assault, it's nice to be able to place down a portable shield, and if you put that sucker down in a nice corridor or an alleyway, you can cover yourself and teammates, shoot through it. They can't shoot at you, and that can actually decide a firefight. And with support, you can, of course, revive other players, place down spawn beacons, and earn experience through that. And while this game's classes might not be anything new and original, I guess at least the fact that they're pretty balanced from the very beginning is a huge plus, because we get a lot of titles these days where they tweak the classes and the loadouts throughout the course of a year, and by the time that they're perfect, you're on to the sequel. And that's just getting stale. So it's nice that they've at least got their head screwed on straight in that department. Things might change, who knows, but for now, I'm pretty happy, at least in regards to a first impression. You know, 100 hours later, that might change. You never know. But, you know, beyond classes, beyond levels and graphical fidelity, I think that this game just has this weighty feel to it. It feels like you are actually a soldier wearing body armor, that you're heavier, that you're carrying something of weight. The weapons actually have a nice kick to them. It just feels solid. You don't feel like you're ice skating around and clipping through things, and you don't feel like you're floaty. Just everything is really tight. You know, the fact that there's no auto aim is also nice too, because a lot of console shooters add a little aim assist. They add a little bit of that, and I think, you know what? No, if you can't aim, regardless of using a controller or mouse, then just practice and get better. There should not be any type of hitbox-based aim assist. So, yet another selling point, in my opinion. But I think the biggest thing for me, and many of you will probably disagree with this, but it's the pace of the game. The run speed, even at full sprint, is not insane. You know, if you're looking to be Sonic the Hedgehog, running around 360 no-scope dolphin diving people, this is not the game for you. The run speed and the walk is so much slower than most titles that you'll probably be uncomfortable most of the time. It really forces you to pay attention to the environment, utilize cover, realize the fact that you have teammates and you should probably work with them. Use the devices that you have on hand, like the portable shield, to take cover. You know, I mean, if you look at any of the levels, even in this video, there's plenty of places to hide behind, and there's so much going on that I really just don't see a reason for the run speed to be any faster than it already is. And I find that a lot of people are trying to transition into this game because they just love shooters, and they're disappointed, and they complain, and they're like, why can't you change this? Why is it so slow? I'm not going to play this anymore. I'm uninstalling it, whatever. And it's like, look, variety, guys. Wouldn't you want there to be games that are different from each other? Why should every game be a knockoff of COD? I mean, there are plenty of COD knockoffs. A lot of them are free to play. I mean, if you want science fiction and COD speed, Blacklight Retribution is a fantastic title that does offer that type of experience. It's not a bad game at all, and it's available on PlayStation 4 as well as PC, so give that a shot. But if you're looking at Killzone for a COD replacement, I wouldn't spend the money on it. That's just my honest opinion, trying to save you some coin. Regardless of how popular I would like this game to be, I wouldn't recommend it for you, because you're going to be disappointed with how slow it is. It does have a big weight to it, and I actually love it. Others will hate it, so there's that. But moving on from that, I think we could discuss ballistics or bullet damage within the game. And I have to say, I think it's all right. Generally, I prefer a game that's a little bit more realistic, a few bullets to kill. But when we're talking about science fiction, I can usually forgive it more than I can with a game that's supposed to emulate modern-day combat. Because it's one of those things where I look at it logically. I was like, okay, this is an M4 with a 5x5 6mm round. Why is it not killing that guy? Why do I have to fire half of a 30-round magazine to drop a human being? Regardless of body armor, I've sprayed the guy enough times. He'd be on the ground because it doesn't feel good even if you get hit in the body armor. That's where my brain goes. But when we're talking about sci-fi, there's no rules. It's a work of fiction. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what kind of body armor or shield we have in this time frame, so it's forgivable. But even with that said, in Killzone, I would almost say that the ballistics are a little bit better than what I've been dealing with in Battlefield 4 normal mode. I feel that I can drop somebody with a decent amount of rounds, you know, to the center mass. You know, if you headshot them, they're going down, of course, even faster. And that's considering that some of these, you know, Hellgas are wearing, you know, crazy helmets. But you know, yeah, I'm actually fine with where it's at. You know, just watching this video, you can see that I'm able to drop people, and people are able to drop me pretty quickly. So all in all, I really can't say that there's anything to complain about in that department. There is health regeneration, which I always hate in any game. I would remove it if I could. I know that in the game customization settings, like if you were to make your own war zone, you can, I think, slow down the regen time. I don't know that you can completely remove it, though. It'd be cool if you could make a hardcore mode of sorts. I know that you can have respawns eliminated, but again, I just don't think that that would be very popular. For me, I like games without respawn. I think it's challenging, and people are going to play more tactical since they're not going to come back until the round's over. But let's face it, the majority of people on the planet are just inherently impatient, and it's not going to fly most of the time. So unless you're playing with a small group of friends, I wouldn't count on a no respawn mode being very popular, but there is one floating out there that maybe a few people will play. So who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe it is popular within Killzone due to the pacing. But anyway, you know, yeah, I mean, currently, as of first impressions of the multiplayer, I don't really have anything negative to say yet. You know, nothing game-breaking that I've found. You know, there might be some stability issues here and there. It is a launch title. I did, I think, at one point experience a crash where when I came back into the game, it corrupted my save file and I'd lost my single-player progress. I was actually pretty upset about that. I heard that some other people have been experiencing those types of issues, but it hasn't happened a lot. It's pretty rare, so I think we're okay. And, you know, the game has already had one patch, at least that I know of, which fixed a few things. And it looks like Guerrilla Games is going to be pretty good about supporting the game post-launch, so I don't think there will be too many issues. But, you know, I'm new to their franchise. I don't know what kind of developer they are. We'll have to wait and see. However, there is something that I did want to read off of their website, and it says, while we want to support the game with frequent releases of DLC, expansion packs offering new gameplay and customization features, at the same time, all DLC multiplayer maps will be released free of charge to prevent the player base from becoming fractured. This is critical, and I've said this time and time again. You can't charge for maps. Yes, I know that it costs money to make maps, but you can't charge for them because a lot of people will not buy expansion packs. They won't buy DLC. They won't buy premium, okay? It just happens. Some people are stubborn. Some people just don't have money. Some people have no interest in the content. There's a variety of reasons, but it happens. And a lot of times, it splits the community in half. Take Battlefield, for example. A lot of people never played Armored Kill or any of those other expansions because they never bought premium. They didn't want to. And so if you did want to play Armored Kill or any of those other expansions, sometimes you'd be looking for a server that's like, oh, there's nobody running these cool maps that I just bought. It's because a lot of people don't have them. Now, if you release them for free, whether it's a map that they like or not, they're more likely to try it out and play it and maybe find that they actually do enjoy it. It is so critical to the success of a title post-launch that you release maps for free. If you look at Warhammer 40k Dawn of War and Company of Heroes, at least the first one, new maps were always released for free. The things that weren't were, of course, faction updates or hero units and things like that, and single-player content. That they would charge for. So you could play all the new maps, but maybe you couldn't play as the British in Company of Heroes 1, you know? Or you would have Space Marines, Orcs, and whatever the base races were in Warhammer 40k, but you know, when they would add the Tau or the other types of races, you couldn't have access to those unless you bought the expansion. But you could still fight against them on the same maps, you just couldn't play as them. That's how you do it. Release the map, just hold back skins, races, player models, customizations, things like that. Weapons even, sure, but never hold back the map. Keep everybody playing together, and you'll have a game that lasts 10 times longer. So, here's hoping that they don't go back on their word. I'm going to go ahead and screenshot this website and save it so that I can shove it in their faces in case they decide to change things up on us. Because there are a few developers that get it, that have released maps for free in the past. Like I said, Relic has been good about it. I don't know how they've been handling Company of Heroes 2 because I haven't been playing it as much, but it was a great idea when it came to COH 1 and Dawn of War. I think Guerrilla is one of the first shooter companies to get it, and that deserves a round of applause. So, you know, I think from what you've seen in this video, you can tell that this game matches my play style, it being slower paced, a little bit more tactical. I think that if you are into the types of games that I play, that you'll enjoy this. Even if you're very stubborn like me and you really love the mouse and feel like, oh, there's no way I'm ever gonna, you know, honestly, if you happen to own a PS4, if you can get the game on sale, if there's some sort of interest, give it a shot. I think that you'll like it. However, I'm not trying to be rude, nothing against anybody, but if you like COD or Battlefield, you might not like this game. There is a chance that you won't, just because of the speed of it. You know, if you're a variety gamer, if you like to play a bunch of different titles with different run speeds and ballistics and storylines and things like that, then you might. But I'm just saying, don't come in here expecting it to be like every other shooter that exists, because it is not. And there's a lot of shooters out there that you can play. Some of them are even free, that will give you what you're looking for. So consider that my warning. You know, don't come in here and complain because it isn't like your other game. That's the whole point, is that we don't want it to be like the other games because they already exist. It's nice and refreshing to have something that's different, is it not? I think so, but again, I'm just me, so it is what it is. But you know, don't even take my word for it. If this gameplay isn't enough to convince you, rent it. Wait till it's discounted, you know? Get it on some sort of sale. I mean, it's the holiday season, so there's bound to be even more sales if you didn't already somehow pick it up via a Cyber Monday deal. I think on Amazon originally it was $49, so it was $10 off for a day or two, and a couple people jumped on that. I don't know why. It might have been a mistake, but, you know, it was for a few days. And I'm sure that there's always going to be somebody that's going to let you borrow the game if you know somebody else with a PS4, or that's going to trade theirs in. So I'm sure that you can get a hard copy for a lot less. Now, you can, of course, purchase the game digitally via the PlayStation Store, but generally they don't discount things very much. And if by some miracle you do have a PS4, if you look within the box, there's a little booklet that has some codes in it, and one of which is for $10 in the store. So you can shave $10 off the game or another title if you'd like. And no matter what, whether you go hard copy or digital, you have to still install the game, and you're going to be eating up about 40 gigs of your hard drive space no matter what you do. So you know, there's a few different ways to look at it. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this has of course been my multiplayer first look at Killzone Shadowfall, and also the first time I've ever uploaded a console game to the channel. Hopefully it was up to your standards, because we are finally seeing next generation 1080p content, and I think I'd like to be there to cover it. There's, I think, a lot of other titles that I can consider now that do actually make a good usage of a controller, that aren't really meant to be played with a mouse and keyboard, that I can now probably enjoy on this system. So I hope to bring you other games from the PlayStation 4. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining me. I will definitely see you on the next one.